Hey everybody, Tim Kawakami here, 49ers Plus Minus post-game show with Matt Barrows of The Athletic. We're recording this Sunday evening, hours after the 49ers lose to the Los Angeles Rams at Levi's Stadium, 42-26 Rams. Pretty powerful offensive performance by the Rams, a little bit sloppy by the 49ers. 49ers can't get past that 26 number, Barrows. Time. They could have got there if Pinero's extra point on their second touchdown didn't get blocked. Looked like Jared Verse just made a great play, jumped in there, and then when they did go for two on their final touchdown, and they do not get it. They still get stuck on 26, and I think as Mac Jones was saying, like 30 is it's probably going to be about 30 is what we're going to need. They needed a lot more than 30 today. As I always ask Matt Barrows after a game like this, what's your headline? What's your main takeaway from it?
Well, the main takeaway is that the needle is pointed decidedly at empty for the defense, and it's been on empty for a while, and they've been able to manage it. They had no chance today, and you blinked and they were down 21-0. And you said sloppy defense. I would add sleepy to that.
Yeah.
I thought that the contrast between Week 7, which was the most recent home game at Levi's Stadium. Remember, that was the first full game that they played without Fred Warner. And then, Fred Warner appears on the video boards, and, there's just a real electricity, a real energy in the stadium, and the defense plays like it. That was absent today, totally missing. And it probably was predictable that it wasn't anything that they could sustain over time. What we saw against the Falcons in Week 7, and now they're sort of this. We talked about this earlier in the year. This one of these mid teams that they win a game and then they don't have the edge the following week, and they lose it in a big fashion. And they'll probably go to Arizona next week and win that one. And they're still on track to get a wild card. But it just sort of was to me, an emperor has no clothes situation where we see what the 49ers are. And it's a pretty limited team given what they can and can't do on defense.
Yeah, also, guys, Rams are pretty good, Barrows. I mean, they are a very well put together team. Stafford is playing very well. When receivers are open, boom, the ball's there. And they are hot right now. They've kind of turned it. It is amazing the 49ers beat them without Kittle, even, right? It was without Purdy, Kittle, Juwan Jennings, we can name it, and without Bosa. Warner played in that game. But they win that game in LA. Clearly, the Rams were more organized. Clearly, they were not going to let the things that the 49ers go in this one. They actually defended Christian McCaffrey at times, which, as I pointed out, I don't know what they were doing last time. Do you know that Christian McCaffrey was just under 100 yards total from scrimmage tonight, like 96, and he's only been held under 100 yards twice from scrimmage, this one and the Houston game. If you not even taking out Christian McCaffrey, he's going to get you most days. But if you just limit him, then the 49er offense is not quite as powerful, obviously. And it does keep, it takes them off the field sometimes, and it puts more pressure on the defense. And the defense has a hard time, as you've noted, in losing all these players. Michael Williams did feel like an absence today. Put that with Warner, put that with Bosa, put that with some other losses. Tough go for them. But you're right, they're probably going to win and go 7-4, right? They're going to win on Sunday, go 7-4. Oh my God, they're great again. And then it's going to go back down. And they're, this is just the way this season has gone. They're one of those teams. They have some good wins under their belt, but and they do not have a hard schedule. Still do not have a hard schedule. Although the Carolina game is now beginning to look a little tougher, Barrows. Although Carolina loses to New Orleans today. So who the hell knows? They're just in that mix. They're in that flux. They did drop out of the 7th seed today. I don't, the Bears win, and the Bears have played one fewer game. They have one fewer loss. They do play the 49ers. It's going to be a pretty big game. Carolina plays 49ers, pretty big game. They're in that mix. I still think they're headed toward a 7 seed. Barrows, what would you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, George Kittle's point, and he makes it over and over, but I think it's a valid one, is that while the defense isn't gonna change, this is what the defense is for the rest of the year. The offense does expect to have some weapons back, and that begins with Brock Purdy. I mean, Kyle Shanahan all but said that Purdy was ready to play. And Purdy told him that. So it very likely that he plays in Arizona, his home state. I don't know if another Arizonan, Ricky Pearsall, is going to play in that game, but there is weaponry to make that offense better. I think that one thing that we're seeing over and over again is that there's no deep threat on this team since Pearsall left. The three of the four fastest players on offense have been out with injuries. The only guy who's playing is Jordan Watkins, and he only plays a handful of snaps a game.
God, did he even get in? I don't remember him seeing him out there.
He was out there. Did not get any targets today. My point being that, I mean, I think this goes into why defenses are playing these kind of loose two-shell coverages against the 49ers, why the running game can't always get on track, why they have so few explosive plays. There's just no threat. There's no speed on the field. So, I mean, I do think that this 49ers offense can get better. That's what Kittle's point is. They need to score more. They can't begin a game with 3 and out, fumble, turnover on downs, punt like they did against the Rams. So that, you can't fall behind 21-0 and expect to win against anybody, much less the Rams. So that has to be cured. But I would think that they're more talented than the Bears. It does sort of drive things home when you say, "Oh, that Bears 49ers game, that's going to be a real humdinger." People are circling that baby on the calendar. But yeah, I agree with you on Michael Williams. I thought that the Rams decided to throw the ball. I thought they could have run the ball all game and they would have been just fine. They probably would have scored the same number of points. Kyron Williams scored 2 very easy walk-in touchdowns. Zero. Well, I shouldn't say zero interference because Malik Mustafa had a clean shot at him the second time, and Mustafa is one of these guys. He brings a lot of weight to his tackles. He's a big, strong guy, and it was like a bug hitting the windshield. Did not do anything to slow him down. And like I said, Kyron Williams scored 2 stand-up touchdowns and averaged more than 5 yards carry. That's something that I think is going to be the big issue for this team. If you can't stop the run, I mean, it's just like last year. I mean, it doesn't really matter how talented the opposing quarterback is, how talented the offensive weaponry is. I mean, that's a basic elemental thing that now the 49ers cannot do. And it doesn't help that the 2 inside linebackers are nicked up and played like it at times today as well.
Yeah, let's underline that. It does really feel like the 49ers intend for Brock Purdy to play Sunday. They talked about dressing him. And I said, if he dresses as a number 2 on today, Sunday, then that's them pointing him towards the game. It is like, okay, if you're going to dress him, just play him. And if you're not ready to play him, don't dress him. I do think they're expecting him to play. And maybe we can just say, hey, they were going to do it until Mac Jones lost a game that that he didn't look great. He looked good. I shouldn't say that. He looked good today, but maybe Brock Purdy could have really helped in this game. Maybe he could help the next game. So you get to that point. Okay. That's when you play him. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch will say he just wasn't physically all the way we want him to be. It does feel like they're pointing, and just listening to Shanahan talk about it today, he's into this whole, he's never going to be 100% healthy. Well, at some point, it can't be 99.999. You have to decide what that number is. And I think they're there, or they're very close to there. Obviously, we'll know on Wednesday. That is always the tip now. Who's the starting quarterback in the first drill on Wednesday's practice? I imagine they intend it to be Brock Purdy. He could have something else happen, but I would just think that's the way they're thinking, just from the body language of Shanahan. And I did ask the question, so I will compliment myself for the question. You know, what other things can you look at this? You know, I wonder, just given this whole offensive thing, and Kittle saying enough, clearly he wants it to be what everyone's thinking. And, you know, maybe Shanahan's sort of thinking this, maybe not. Maybe you don't defer anymore if you win the toss, because you got to go out, you got to score. You know, they defer, Rams get the ball, go right down the field, score a touchdown. Then if you just can't do anything, you're getting it right back to them, and it's 14-0. I understand the idea about the defer. You know, offenses aren't quite clicking maybe right away. You can take over the game defensively, and then you get that chance to, you know, score at the end of the first half, score at the beginning of the first half, at the end, beginning of the second half. Clearly, well, we get why Shanahan does it, but that's with a defense that's good. I wonder if they're thinking about that. I might ask them at some point this coming week, or maybe not, because it's strategy. But I wonder. Does that pop in your mind at all, Barrows? Like, if you can't,
is that the lead to your column today?
Yeah,
the 49ers lost the game at the coin toss.
The deferral meant they deferred winning. No, it just popped in my mind as I was driving home. It's like it's based on stopping him that first drive. That is the entire thing. Like, you stop him on that first drive, you're up a possession. But if you don't, and then you get it back, you're down 7-0. You're going, holy Jesus, we better do something. And then if you're stopped again, it could be 14-0. That's just, it just entered my head knowing that that's what they always do. And maybe that isn't a great. Now, maybe against the Cardinals, it's a different thing. It's Jacoby Brissett. It's not Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and the whole thing. But I'm just curious. Well, it'll be very interesting. They win the toss on Sunday in Arizona and what they do. But
well, I mean, your point's well taken. I forget that I'm missing a game in there, but the opponent's opening drives have been like 16 plays, 10 plays, 10 plays. It takes a lot out of the defense right off the bat. I mean, a defense that can't afford any sort of energy loss. They're already kind of playing on their heels already. And, you know, keeps your offense off the field. And it kind of just underscores a 3-and-out too. I mean, a 3-and-out after a 10-play, 16-play drive, which has been the case a couple of times, is just, you know, it's just a killer at that point. Because then the defense has to go right back out there. And this defense needs all the breaks it can get. I mean, still would mean that the Rams or the Cardinals or whomever gets the ball to begin the second half. And that's going to be tough as well. But yeah, I mean, that's a point to be made. You know, do they kind of lean on the run as heavily as they normally do? Is it become more of a pass-oriented team? But you're right. I mean, what do you think you know, George Kittle has thrown out 30 points. They need to hit that margin every week. You know, 30 wouldn't have done it today. I mean, it's almost like they've got to be in the upper 30s, low 40s to win some of these games. Here's my question to you. I think it's clear now that the 49ers are not the best or the second best team in the NFC West. Are they the third best team at this point?
You're saying, are the Cardinals better than them?
Well, we'll find out on Sunday.
I don't think. I mean, the Cardinals are not bad. They have lost close games. They almost beat the 49ers at Levi's Stadium.
They smoked the Cowboys.
Eddie Finero. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is the same. I think the Rams really present the 49ers with difficulty because Stafford can just hit somebody anywhere at any time when the 49ers are not getting a pass rush on him. We've seen him wobble when the 49ers have had a good pass rush, but they do not now. And I don't think they're going to get one. And they got to defend so much with Stafford that it takes them out of everything else that they do. I don't think Jacoby Brissett's the same thing. I think they can, you know, stack up against the run and see what he can do over the top of them. So yeah, I think they're the third best. They've got the wins in the pocket. That to me tells, you know, they've beaten Seattle, the Rams in LA. We can call that fluky, call that weird. They've done it. And Those are not easy places. These are good teams to beat on the road. So yeah, I think they're the third best, and we'll see. Maybe the Cardinals knock them over. We've seen James Conner run through the 49ers before, but I don't think Jacoby Brissett. Kyler has beaten them at times, running around, kind of improvising. I don't think that system screws up the 49ers too bad. I mean, obviously they're down talent, obviously, but no, I expect them to beat the Cardinals. If they would sweep the Cardinals, they would be 4-1 division. Tough for me to say that's the third best team in the division. They're not better than Seattle or the Rams, even though they won on the road against both of them. I've now kicked one back to the Rams. Though those teams are just more solid. They're healthier. I mean, the Rams are a healthy team.
Yeah.
And showed it. And what I wrote at some point was, this is what a playoff game is going to look like if they get, or a game at the end that they have to win. Say they have to beat Seattle in the final game of the year, and it matters to Seattle. Like maybe it matters between the 2 and the 3 seed for Seattle, something. And the 49ers have to win to get in. A more complete team is probably going to knock them over. That really is organized and motivated. That's what the Rams were. They just were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it right. We're going to set it up. We're going to give it to Stafford. We're going to knock you over. Then Kyron Williams is going to run it in the end zone. And the defense is very good. Jared Verse is very good. Oh, they did not sack Mac Jones. They had some pressure on him. But, they're just not that class of a team, but they're better than the Cardinals. I think there will be a separation. There's a pretty clear separation in the NFC. And the 49ers are barely in the top, but they're clearly the top 7, right? Top 8. And they're clearly better than the bottom of that. And I think the Cardinals are in there. We'll see. Could be proven wrong. I am on a ridiculous hot streak on picking these games, though, Barrows. I will say that. 5 in a row, I think I've picked pretty cleanly.
But you said that you weren't quite sure about this game. You thought it would be close. This game was not close.
Not close. But granted, I don't know what the point spread was ever, but I just don't think the 49ers are going to be able to stop that offense. Like, not enough. It's just going to be too much for them, and they don't have the offensive capability to go score for score. So, 42. Did I think 42? No, I did not think 42. But a good, well-balanced offense is going to be very difficult for this team. The lucky thing for the 49ers is there's not that many of those teams out there, on the board in totality, and certainly not on their remaining schedule. Carolina's not that. Arizona's not that. Maybe the Colts and the Seahawks are the 2 remaining teams. They don't have to play the Rams anymore. And I think they're very happy about that at this point. Okay, let's go. Defensively, this is going to be tough. Bright side, anybody who we went, okay, they played a pretty good game despite giving up the 400 yards and 42 points.
I cannot. I mean, the players who stood out from the game to me were George Kittle, who provided really the only spark. Remember, they were struggling when he made that fingertip catch for a first down, and then he had kind of several more like that. And that touchdown was pretty amazing.
Almost an incomplete pass, and then he goes down the sideline for another 12 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brian Robinson had another kind of strong running game. I thought that the guard play, which has been spotty for the 49ers this year, Dominic Purdy, we've talked about this a lot, hasn't been himself. I think the last 2 games, I could just tell from his body language and the Tim Kawakami rule about staying on your feet. He was on the ground a lot in the first, half of the season. The last 2 games, he's been on his feet. He's been knocking guys over. And then on the other side, they had Spencer Burford sort of alternate. I think it was Spencer Burford played 2 series, and then Ben Barch came in. Ben Barch coming back from a long high ankle sprain injury, playing 1. And I thought that they did a good job too. So the run blocking has been a lot better. And when you've got good guard play, that's a good thing for a runner like Brian Robinson, because he likes to run between the tackles. He likes to run over people, and that's what he's been doing the last 2 weeks. So that aspect of the game, I think, is solid. It's pretty good. The defense, boy, I'd have to really strain to find somebody. I mean, Tatum Bethune left the game for a series, came back, and I thought he was pretty solid for the rest of the game. He had a very Dre Greenlawian hit at the sideline. We both commented on it during the game, where it was an obvious late hit and don't know what he was doing. But it came at a period of the game. The 49ers had just sort of tried to kind of reawaken themselves. I think it was 21-14 at that point.
Yeah, they did reawaken. They were one score down.
They were one score down, and momentum was slipping, and they had the Rams at the right side of the 50-yard line, and at the 15-yard penalty, it just sets them up really nicely. And the Rams went down to score and never were threatened again. So that was a bad play. The dime defense that they relied on, I thought that was interesting. I mean, there were times when the Rams had 5 pass catchers at least on the field. And so the 49ers went with this dime defense, which is 1 linebacker, and that's Tatum Bethune, and 6 defensive backs, 3 safeties and 3 cornerbacks. And I know that it worked once. It was the Rams' first punt. It was an overthrow to one of the tight ends, but he was open. And the rest of the game, it did not work at all. I mean, the Rams were batting 1,000 on the other instances where they went to this dime defense. And the thing about the dime defense is that it didn't fool the Rams, but it absolutely fooled the 49ers, because they were caught twice with 12 men on the field. Shanahan had to call a timeout once, and they were caught with the 12 men the second time, and it resulted in a penalty. So, I mean, I'm sure D. Winters is not used to coming off the field. He's an every down player. So he was the guy that came off in the dime situations. He also didn't take part in the Thursday practice because he's injured. He's got 2 knee issues. Thursday is the most game-like of all the practices. That's where you basically are kind of running all the plays that the base down plays that you're going to run in the game. He's not taking part in it. Does that contribute to him, kind of the mental lapse of staying on the field? I'm sure it didn't help. So, I mean, to me, it was a bad game. You could see the fatigue on some of the guys physically, and also there was some mental lapses as well.
Yeah, I just say he has rarely been taken off the field this season, so I get wait a minute, are we in nickel or so I'm on the field? No, wait a minute, there's another person in here. That's when I got to come off it. I don't know if they've done it this year very much. I would not think so, because he's been on the field almost every single time. And 49ers rarely, they usually have good linebackers. They have at least 2 of them, so they don't take one of them off. They usually have both linebackers. Dre Greenlaw did not get taken off the field when teams went to different kind of wideout situations. And what the Rams were doing, they got all these tight end receivers, right? They're these small tight ends who are good receivers. And I think that was what the 49ers were trying to match up with. But a couple times they do that. The Rams just go, okay, we're going to run now. You're going to put 6 DBs in, we're going to run. They didn't go crazy doing it, but they did it. And I just think it was a weird chess match back and forth. McVay had some things. Saleh was trying some things. Saleh and Shanahan clearly won the first match. This time, Sean McVay, he's not getting beat twice. That's why I just didn't see McVay he's getting himself spun in a top like he did a little bit, or Chris Shula too, as I pointed out often, the defensive coordinator. They just weren't going to do that with superior talent. They had the guys, they had the chess pieces. The 49ers were madly trying to match and got caught a little bit. I was going to, I just looked at the stats, I'll counter myself. My column was there was no magic trade for them that was going to fix something like this. I just didn't think so. It was going to cost 2 first-round picks or a first and a second. They weren't going to do it. And if fans want to get mad about that, that's fine. They weren't going to do that. And I don't think they should have done that. But I was going to say, if you have just 2 Bryce Huffs, is that going to change the game? Because that's the best you could have done, I think, for a moderate draft pick. And even then, you probably couldn't do it with a draft pick that they were wanting to trade. But Bryce Huff had 3 quarterback hits, Barrows. I don't remember them, but he's listed as being the only guy who got a pass rush. I thought I saw D. Winters get a hit on a blitz, so maybe he went in there. But
yeah, didn't Keon White have a sack?
Yeah. I was just looking up the hits just to see if I missed anything. And so Huff must have had some, he must have had a presence in there. Maybe an Arden Key if he plays like that, or someone, whoever else. I think the Rams would have been just fine, though. I don't think that's what was a difference in the game. I think the difference was in the game was the Rams are just a better team, and in all phases, like I can throw special teams. They got an extra point block, so it's just tough when you're the 49ers. Go, one more player is going to be the difference of this. I don't think so. I think that's what they decided a long time ago, and that's what happened. Now, Keon White was their one guy, acquired 1 week before the deadline. Looks like a pretty decent player, Barrows. Got a sack. He looks athletic. He's one of those skinny guys. You see him in the locker room. He's not one of those heavy guys. He's like a skinny, tall guy, a little Arden Key like. But I don't think a trade would have done it. I just don't. Maybe I'm just convincing myself something I've decided already, but that's not what would have changed this game. You would need a turnover. I know someone could say a big pass rush could cause a turnover, but you need explosive offense. They're just not getting Fred Warner and Nick Bosa back. That defense is never going to be great without those two. And one more pass rusher, I don't elevates them just a little bit. And what would you have to give up to do that? I just don't see the equation there. This is what would happen whether they had an extra pass rusher or not. I really do believe that.
I agree with you. The counter argument, though, is that you can't, go into the trade deadline with a crappy defense and not trade for anybody, and then say afterwards, "See, our defense is really crappy. That's why we didn't trade for anybody."
They're not saying that. They're not saying that. I'm saying it, but
and a trade does bring a lift to the building for sure. I mean, we saw that with Jimmy Garoppolo in 2000, whatever year that was, 2017. Emmanuel Sanders in 2019, even Chase Young. I know that he didn't work out well, but I think that there was some excitement about that. He was a former defensive rookie of the year. A teammate of Nick Bosa.
Yeah, Nick Bosa's buddy.
His buddy. So you had the two Ohio State studs on the ends. That was a better team, of course. But, I mean, like I said, the 49ers came into this game flat as a pancake, and it kind of felt that way. That was sort of the emotion from the fan base, from the readership during after the Giants game, which was a win, which was a pretty solid win. Going into this game, it felt like a loss listening to people. Like,
49ers fans whine anyway. They think
they're going to whine anyway, of course. But that was sort of.
Montana's not the starting quarterback. They're crying about it. So, and it's kind of hard to get him back, is my understanding. So.
But my point is that it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't do anything on defense, you can't say, well, look at our defense stinks. That's why we didn't do anything on defense.
Again, they're not saying that, though. It's just true. They're not saying it. I'm saying it because they're not good enough. And they did make the decision a while back. And if there's a perfect player out there that they did not get which they could have got for a third round pick, okay, I just don't think that was possible.
That's true. That's true.
And I would bet they would have done it if they could. So all these arguments are fine. I get the fact that a good player could have changed a lot of dynamic. I'm just saying it wouldn't have changed this game. And they blow the Cardinal game because they can't get pressure on Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to be much more open to that conversation. This game to me felt like, okay, this is playoff team, real playoff team. Are you good enough to beat this playoff team? Would you have been good enough to beat this playoff team with one more player who isn't Trey Hendrickson because they weren't going to get him? I don't think so. I really don't. It's not slam dunk. Absolutely. My opinion is I don't think so. Now with Brock Purdy's the quarterback, okay, maybe, there's an interesting discussion to be had with Ricky Pearsall back, but I don't know that those, probably Purdy back, but I don't know when Pearsall's coming back. I have a strange feeling, or not a strange feeling, that Brandon Aiyuk may not be back at all. We talked about it last podcast. They're now like saying if he's back, kind of. Well, you start saying if he's back, and it's now November, this is getting pretty close to the discussion point where I don't know if he's going to be back at all. Like, do they open his practice window this week? If it's no, feeling pretty pretty close to the edge here with him being at least be able to return at full speed, because he'll be coming off of more than a year of not practicing, Barrows. And guess what? He didn't practice much last year before he was hurt.
He didn't
So
play all that great either.
yeah, and didn't play all that great. Gets hurt in October, and now we're getting close to mid-November, and has not practiced. So, this is a season where they're hanging on. To their credit, they've hung on quite well. They are 6-4. I expect them to get to 7-4. And it's just going to be this debate back and forth. It's the last time I'm going to write it. I think, who knows, but it just felt like this was a game where the separation was more than one player. Put it that way. I mean, I should have written that, Barrows, but that's
a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I didn't put it that way in the column, but the separation was Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. That was a separation, and they don't have them coming back. They don't have Michael Williams coming back for a while. Just doesn't feel like the time to do that, and it feels like I get it. I get what the whole movement is, and maybe they can still, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I just think it's going to be one and out, probably in the playoffs, like the first time ever, by the way, in the Shanahan era, that they lose a playoff game before the NFC Championship game. But they don't have the talent that can do that. If they do, it's going to be with Pearsall and Purdy coming back, and it's the whole Kittle thing. Go put up 35 points and hold on at the end, and we'll see if they're able. It's a really tough way to play, though. We're seeing it's a tough way to play because you have a flat offensive half, then you've just lost. And we've seen that now with Houston, and we've seen that now with the Rams. You got to keep chugging away. You got to put points on the board almost every quarter, because your defense is going to give up a couple quarters where it's giving up 14 points. And those are hard things to survive if you're not putting up 14 yourself.
How soon until we start asking the question, are the 49ers purposely keeping Aiyuk off the field so that he's healthy for the offseason?
For what?
For moving him.
Yeah. But I'm as good.
Remember, they had Jimmy Garoppolo, who they thought that they could deal. But then they realized, nobody wants him because he's still injured.
Yep.
And so
then you got an extra surgery. You got an extra surgery that they didn't know about. I think a trading team, an acquiring team, would want to see Aiyuk run around. It would be better for his value, let's put it that way, to see him run around and catch a few balls than not. I don't know what he would do. I understand what you're saying. If he hurts it again, he has no value. And I did point out to you, I was looking up the Sauce Gardner contract. How could they trade him before the contract even kicks in? The reason they could trade him is it's not bonus money. It's guaranteed salary money, which does not automatically hit the cap as dead money. It just transfers over. Guess who's got a contract like that next season? It's
Brandon Aiyuk.
So you can trade it if someone's willing to take that guaranteed money. They'd have to be able to take, or maybe the 49ers could pay off some of it, but it's not exactly like the Sauce Gardner. There would be a bigger dead money cap hit, but it wouldn't be that much. And it's sort of built that way, Barrows. It's sort of built for him to be traded next season.
I was watching the Pittsburgh, I was about to say Pirates, Pittsburgh Steelers just losing a stinker just now in LA to the Chargers. Aaron Rodgers looks skittish. The guy does not want to take a hit. They've got no receivers whatsoever. They've got a defensive-minded head coach. I think, like, if I were the Rooney family, I would make sure that I got Mac Jones, Brandon Aiyuk, and Clay Kubiak as my offensive coordinator.
You said Kendrick Bourne goes with wherever Mac Jones.
And Kendrick Bourne. But Kendrick Bourne's a free agent, so they can sign him anyway. But that would be a great offseason for them. And then they would have to give the 49ers for all of those things a first-round pick. But it would make total sense to me.
You're writing a new column for me here, Barrows. Way to go.
Hey, scrap the one that you did tonight. It's not too late.
Right on top of it. But the problem with that is as you brought up, I think last show when I said, they could be trading Aiyuk, it's like, then who's your receiver if you don't know about Pearsall and Jennings is going? Like, you do need receivers.
That's
So
where you use all those firsts that you've
yeah,
accumulated.
draft. And if you lose Kendrick Bourne, I would think they would keep Kendrick Bourne in that move, but it would cost him some money. He wouldn't be for free.
Yeah, but Kendrick Bourne goes with Mac
Yeah,
Jones.
that's
That's
your thing. That's your thing. That's not the world's thing.
well, but when he played with Brock Purdy, remember he played that week 4 game with Purdy, and he was coming off like a pair of 153-yard games, and he was terrible in that game. Not
They
on the
need,
same
yeah,
page.
who is it? Jordan Watkins and who other their other receivers
Jacob
gonna be?
Cowing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the future.
yeah, it's gonna be all on IR. It's worth thinking about though. The other thing was I was pretty. I think Bosa's cap number is like 40 million next year. It was built for a renegotiation, knockdown, like extend. Can you do that with him coming off his second ACL? I mean, I guess you can. You presume he's going to be healthy. The modern medicine is so good, but like it's a little weirder when you're going to give him $100 million guaranteed again here to knock down that salary cap number. Be very interesting. There's and Aiyuk's got a huge number. I think it was built for him to be traded if it all wasn't going well, and as we know, all is not well. But Barrows has already got the Rooney family picking up that $27 million guaranteed salary next year.
I'm gonna put a call into Art, and we'll get this done.
So this is with Mike Tomlin. You still have Mike Tomlin as your coach this time? You just hired?
Oh yeah. Mike Tomlin. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what makes Aiyuk want to go to Pittsburgh. Aiyuk, Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne, and the offensive coordinator. It makes too much sense.
Well, then who the 49ers hire as offensive coordinator? Mike McDaniel coming back? No, he's not coming back. He's not coming back.
He could.
Yeah, he's going to go. He's going to go somewhere where he can call plays. That's where he's going to go. But it's not as big a deal as DC. And we shall see it with Saleh. We're already planning out the staff. We're planning out quarterbacks going everywhere. This is Barrows at his best, everybody. Late night Barrows. Usually I'm the one kind of spinning out all these things, but Barrows has got it today.
But the Steelers were just so bad offensively tonight. And I only call it the last quarter, but it was enough to tell me what they needed to do.
It was a Jim Harbaugh Chargers was doing that, everybody. Jesse Minter. I was thinking, someone asked me about what Saleh's chances of getting a head coach job. Offensive guys always are first, right? They always are preeminent. I said, when the defensive guys are being considered, Saleh's got to be way up there. Then I was trying to think of other people. Jesse Minter was the one, that's the Chargers DC. I don't know if there's too many others because a few DCs got hired this year. At least Aaron Glenn did. And Mike McDonald got hired 2 years ago. I don't know if there's who's the other hot DC coordinators. There's just not that many that I can think of.
No. There is Vic Fangio, but yeah, I think that time ship is past. Yeah,
that time is come and gone. Oh,
I mean,
you got Brian Flores. You got Brian Flores.
Yeah, the 49ers should worry about Saleh leaving with Kubiak as a 1-2 combination. And if that happens, then maybe that's the team that trades for Mac Jones and gets Brandon Aiyuk and then signs Kendrick Bourne.
You got the whole team leaving. Barrows has got the whole team leaving. It was interesting. Eric Branch, the great Eric Branch Chronicle, asked Mac Jones in a post-game presser, which is what got Jones a little confused, just about he's answering game questions, the way it's happened, the way the game went on, is playing well, but a loss. And why did you sign a 2-year contract instead of a 1-year contract? You got to pause. And said, I just want to be with a good team. It's a great question. It would be great to know exactly what happened there. My supposition, which I will stay with, is that there's an understanding that if it goes well and he has a chance to be a starter somewhere else, the 49ers will trade him. Now, you don't have to go by that, right? I'm sure it's not in the contract, but I do think it would be weird for him to be a backup quarterback next year after playing like this when we'll have 3 or 4, I think, options if he was a free agent to be a starting quarterback and almost without competition. I don't know, even know, I mean, you wouldn't say, we're going to put you up against, maybe they have a rookie that they draft, but it would be awkward, I think, if he comes and helps you like this, and you hold him just because you can. It doesn't mean they got to get their best thing they can for him. But it wasn't I think Curtis Rourke in line to be their backup next season, at least in some opinion.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's in the system. I would say he's in line to be the number 3 for
Okay.
sure.
It would really drop down their salary commitments. It really
Yeah,
would. I mean, it would.
Jed loves that idea
Yeah,
a
it
lot.
would be. It's
The-
you're paying a lot for the quarterback when your backup's making what, 7? Is he, or 4? What? I think it was 7 million for 2 years, so it's 3 now. It's not 2.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Which seems really affordable at the
yeah.
moment.
Oh my God.
The question would be who would be the QB reclamation project for 2026? Because the 49ers have made a cottage industry out of doing this.
Tua.
I mean, I feel like Trevor Lawrence could use a.
Oh my God!
Could use a.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a tough one. I don't think Jacksonville's going to hit the eject button on him. What would trade him? Mac Jones? Get Mac Jones back.
That's what they should do. Mac Jones is from Jacksonville. Yeah.
It's Tua. It's Kyler.
I don't think Shanahan would like Kyler. He might like Tua. I don't know.
Yeah, if Daniel likes him, that usually means that Shanahan's going to like him. There aren't any other obvious candidates at the moment. Justin Fields, I don't think so. Since Shanahan did not contemplate drafting him that same year. Trey Lance again, get Trey Lance back.
Aaron Rodgers could use a
Aaron Rodgers. Philip Rivers, you get a refresher there.
That's it. It.
We are going down many interesting roads here. This is what is the highest quality.
This is what the off season has in store for us. These are all the questions that'll be flying around.
And what's interesting about them is they're a good spot for just about anybody. That's what's interesting. Like, nobody's going to say no, Kyle. That seems crazy. And also, they're probably going to go, you know what? Your quarterback who you paid a lot gets hurt a lot. Yes. Like, there's a chance to play with this team. The amazing thing is that Darnold didn't play 2 years last year. Like, he did not play because Purdy was 2 years ago, right? That was 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago. Like, he looked good when we saw him, but he barely played because Purdy stayed healthy all 2023. So, but yeah, Darnold, Mac Jones, my God, quarterbacks are going to be calling up Kyle like, please take me. I don't know who it's going to be, but they'll have their choice. I'm just trying to think of where somebody would want to get out of there. But okay, that's enough of that. Not enough of us just creating things off the top of our head at friggin' 9:30 at night. But all good, Barrows. We done it. We will get back to you probably. Our standard Thursday announce the starting quarterback is what we're going to do. But
maybe I'll do a solo on Wednesday just to update the QB situation on what happened on Wednesday.
Yep.
They've got all sorts of other injury questions. Pearsall.
Absolutely. And it's going to be, do they open the Aiyuk window? And who takes the first snap in quarterback drills is going to be very interesting. I'm going to guess it's going to be Purdy. But there could be, something happen and it's not him. I mean, how about this one? The upset of the year was Shanahan opening his presser with the injury and say no injuries. What the hell?
I think that's real irony in a game which they were obviously so struggling with their injury issues all season. From the accumulation of the season, they had no injuries in the game
that we know of. There could be a little conference call thing and out for the year, but walks up to the podium. All right, guys, no injuries. There was the 4 words that blew me away and had nothing to do with the result of the game, obviously. All right, Barrows, we'll get a Barrows solo pod hopefully in the middle of the week, and then we'll do something on Thursday, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.